Right, today at Benwick Sports, we've got a real treat. We've got Daryl here from Rapala Normark, and he's brought in the rods that we've all been waiting for and really excited to see. Well, I have especially. So, anyway, mate, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Ian.
Yeah,
how you doing, all right?
Yes, yeah, I'm good. Still remembering the day I had up with you on the Trent. A little bit of flood water.
Yeah.
The rods were amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, Sod's Law, the conditions were not right.
Yeah,
but
that was one of them things.
Good afternoon.
I'll have to come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you got a good feel for the rods on that day anyway as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you can see they're absolute quality.
Yeah.
So, what's the story behind the reasoning for bringing them out?
For bringing them back. So obviously, it's 4 or 5 years ago now, nearly 5 years ago. I was talking to a colleague, and you know, the type of fishing I like, just like yours.
Yeah.
I found myself using my old Avenger rod more than some of the newer rods that I've bought over the years, and which I won't mention, and found myself that was a much more fun rod to use. So once we'd got the Kuma deal and the factory, me and a colleague was talking, saying, oh, wouldn't it be good to try and recreate the rods again? And there was a bit of a pipe dream over a beer, but I thought about it for a bit longer and spoke to a few people and contacted John Mitchell, who was the sales director and ultimately the managing director of Normark UK in the 80s and 90s. So played a big part in the launch of these rods with Jeff Salisbury.
Yeah, Jeff.
And I can't remember the other guy's name now, but the MD at the time. So, you know, John was a big part of it. So I called John and said, John, would you be interested? And his initial response was, well, you know, Daryl, he says, you know, like this. And I says, I'm not sure we should and all this. I said, well, look, I don't want a decision today. Just sleep on it and we'll talk later. Anyway, next day he called me back. He said, I'm in.
It didn't take long.
No, it didn't take long. And he said, I'm in. As long as you promise me one thing, Daryl, that if we don't make them as good, then we won't release them.
So literally, if they hadn't have been as good as the originals, that would have been.
We would not got this far.
It.
Yeah, we would not got this far.
Yeah,
so.
that's good.
And you know, we sat down. Then we met up quite quickly. John had a lot of rods. I had 3 rods of my own at the range, and he had all the drawings and the technical details. So
what, the original drawings?
Original drawings, yeah. So he saved everything. Good start.
Yeah.
So we sat down for a day and we came up with a range. Obviously, I was limited to a smallish range to start with because you know a lot of people internally thought I was a bit crazy as well. So because you know Normark's been a sleeping brand for many years, but I knew there was still a market for it. So yeah, we set about doing it, got started, and COVID came along and slowed us down a little bit, and we got the first samples, and I knew at that point we'd got something to work with. It just went from there really, and it's evolved over the years, and we got to the point I think about a year ago, and someone in the company said to me, says, what are we doing with these Normark rods project? Because it's been under the legacy project thing. I said, yeah, we're just finalising a few bits and working on it. And we're like, it's been 4 years now. I was like, oh, has it been that long? So it was right, we need to bring them out, or we're gonna bin it. So I said, yeah, let me just make a few little tweaks here and a few tweaks there, and we'll do it. So and here we are. So we're ready to come to market. They're finishing the factory as we speak, and they'll be on the water to us probably before the end of this week.
Cool.
So
Brilliant. Yeah.
A little bit later than I'd hoped. They should have been landing in about 2 weeks' time, but we were let down by Fuji on some components, a bit of a delay. So, but you know, it had to be Fuji, as you know. A few people said, "Oh, you need to use C-guides now," but it had to be Fuji.
No, it's got to be the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you chose to keep the names as well. I mean, that had to happen, didn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have that roll.
100%.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got feeder rods as well that are nearly ready, and they've got the original names as well. That has to be that. We didn't want to. We never wanted to just copy. So, but there's certain things we had to keep, and Microlite, Titan, and Avenger. Yeah. We had to keep.
Yeah.
And you know, I've not tinkered with the logo. I could have made the logo more modern, but it made no sense because you know people like the classic look and feel of a Normark rod, and I'm really happy with what we've managed to keep in terms of the classic look and feel, but in a modern way. You know, it was. You know, we even had the rubber Fuji gimbal on the bottom there until the last sample, and in the end it just looked so wrong on a lovely slim handle. Yes. We've made some tweaks and changes. You know, we've changed the EVA at the top for a full cork, and that's just a personal thing. I love cork.
That's better.
I love cork. I think so.
Mine came away. my double-on bit there, that I had to re-glue it the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen with that.
No, you look after that,
Definitely.
it'll last forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously the cork used to go a long way down, but we don't need it. You know, this is not really used, so it gives a nice classic modern feel. And then obviously we've got the nice shaped, I don't know if I can show that, but you've got the nice engraved Normark logo in the bottom there as well.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got the extra keeper ring, which you probably just noticed as well, which again is just a personal touch for, I like to keep my rod set up.
Yes.
So when you've broken the rod down and kept it together with your float on, it just means your float can be, you know, slidden down and it's not banging around at the tip, it's more down the middle. So again, a touch that a lot of anglers who I've shown the rods to have realised straight away. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We'll have a look at how you do
Yeah,
that later
yeah.
with the bag and everything. Yeah. So you've got in this range at the moment you've got the Microlite in a 12-foot.
Yeah.
And then you've got Titan
2 Titans.
in 13 and a 12-14.
Yeah.
And an Avenger or 2 Avengers in a 13 and a 12-14.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. What was you thinking about
So-
doing the 12-14s rather than the 13-15?
Okay, so originally there was going to be 6 rods in the range. There was a 13 Titan as well. We have got that, but I've got probably one of the only ones at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
30
30-foot
foot Microlite,
yeah.
But when we come to launch, we said, right, we're going to launch 5 SKUs, and that's where we're at. So
Yeah.
the thinking behind the 12 to 14 was, you know, quite a few people saying, oh, we need a 15 footer. So
Yeah.
obviously the obvious thing was to make a 13 foot to 15 foot. But for me, the 13 foot is the holy grail and the go-to rod for me. It's the perfect length for practically everything. So I didn't want to compromise the 13 foot to make it into 15, because you always have to, you know, strengthen that wall and put some sort of whatever in there to make it, you know, take that 2 foot dolly section.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to compromise the 13, because the 13 we've got in the Avenger is absolutely beautiful, and it's the lightest power float rod on the market that I know of.
Yeah.
And I've used a few, and it really is exceptional to feel. So I didn't want to ever compromise that. If we make a 15, it'll be a dedicated 15, so it'll be a 3-piece 15. And you know, going by comments, that probably will be one of the next rods that we do in the range.
I would say that's what we get asked for.
Yeah.
When they see what range you're doing, the people that are into Normarks in a big way, and that they come in and they say, I wish there was a 15. Wish there was a 17. I wish there. So they're always wishing for something there isn't. But I think a 15.
I've already started conversations about a Titan 15 and an Avenger 15.
They would be bang on, wouldn't they?
Yeah. The reasoning behind the 12 to 14, which I think was the original question, was I knew we needed a 14, but didn't want to not make a 12 because, you know, so many people fish more rivers.
Yeah, smaller rivers.
I like a 12-foot rod, so it was a bit of a, can we make a 12 to 14 that's good enough? And I've got to say, the first sample we got back wasn't good enough. You know, at 12 it was lovely, but you put the dolly on and it just went top heavy, and it was horrible. So, you know, we went back to New Mandeville, started again on that, and see if we could do it, because the factory were quite sort of adamant, no, we can do it, we knew we could improve it. So they sent the next one back, and it was improved, but not right still. So a lot more tweaks, and by the third sample, we put the dolly in, didn't really know it was there, and I thought actually I can fish with this. And you know, one of the tests we do when we get to the show is hold the weight of the dolly. I mean, I think it's 18 grams, I think, from memory, but it weighs nothing, does it?
No, it doesn't.
But you put that as part of the rod, and actually becomes part of the rod. It's not just a 2-foot section stuck in there. It really does work. It bends, and when it's in there, you can't even see it. You know, the amount of people who put it in and then actually can't find where it is to take it out is incredible.
See, that was my biggest problem with the original ones. I thought they were great 13-foot rods, but you know, I never really liked it at 15.
No,
but I used your Avenger on the Trent at
that's right.
14,
you did use it,
and it was beautiful.
Yeah. And
it's beautiful.
And the Titan is even better in that, but you know, on the
radiator, that one, isn't it?
But they really work. And at 14, like you say, you don't know you're fishing a rod that's not designed for 14. And
you
know,
don't.
I always thought the 13s would be the best sellers, but I really think the 12 to 14s now, you've got 2 rods in one for 20 quid extra.
Absolutely. So, do you think it would take people that have had the multi-length rod Do you think it'll take them to come in store and try it and see to be convinced?
I think so.
Do you
because
think they'll take other people's words for it?
I think
use them?
I think so. A lot. 100%. I think you're right, because there's always going to be sceptical people out there. There's a lot of skeptical people. Oh, you'll never make Normark rods.
Yeah.
So I was
I
like,
said
okay,
to you when you first spoke, I thought, God, I could just hear it now.
But you know what, our brief, and I showed the sales team some parts of the brief, and we were very strict with the factory right from the off. And you know, we were saying that, you know, cost is, it's not about cost. There's no compromise. We want to make the best rod we can make.
Yeah.
You know, and it was all about balance, power, and action. And that is what we had to have perfect: the balance, the power, and the action. How it came in, that power, which is what Normark rods were always synonymous with, that progressive, progressive action.
Yeah.
So, but yes, you're right. A lot of people say, "Well, Dolly's no good for me." I've seen it on the forums. I've seen it in the whatever. But the people who picked it up have said straight away. In fact, I saw it in the shop last week. I won't say the shop, but he said it's not for me. I don't do dollies. I went, well, just wait until you pick it up and say that. And he picked it up and he went. He says, "Yeah, look a bit silly now, don't I?"
Yeah.
So
this is just it.
So it does work, and you know, I would have been a skeptic because I'm not for dollies either.
No.
But it really does work.
Yeah, that does.
So, but I don't think we'd have got anything like as good on a 13 to 15.
No.
So
No.
different ball game altogether.
Yeah, but like I say, an actual 15-foot rod is something
it's a tool, isn't it?
Especially on these big rivers for barbel and that sort of thing. You know, they the other ones that I've seen, I'm not happy with.
No,
I probably shouldn't say that. It's in the shop, but I'm not at all.
Well, you'll have these to sell soon, so
I will. Yeah. Well, I won't think we'll have them long.
No.
They're absolutely out of this world. But I think, I mean, I might be wrong, but I think, you know, you obviously people that have got Normark rods. There are a lot of them are going to say, nah, they can't be like the original. You can't be like the originals and that. They've got, for me, they've got the original drawings.
Yeah.
They're made by people that care.
Yeah.
And they're made with better quality carbon.
Yeah.
Because it's the same. Am I right? In the carbon is.
So yeah, the original rods were made from Toreca carbon or Mitsubishi carbon, depending on what age they were. So we had to go for Toreca carbon again, the best carbon you can get. We're using 40 ton and 46 ton carbon, which is the best quality and the sort of strongest and lightest you can get.
Yeah.
The originals were made out of 30 ton carbon. We, like I say, they had all the drawings. The big thing from us was balance, power, action. We just instilled that. It was always balance, power, action. It became a bit of a catchphrase.
Yeah.
And we had to have Fuji guides, Fuji real seat. I don't think there's been a real seat invented since that's better than that. No. Personally, you know, it's the comfiest seat on the market in my eyes. So yeah.
Yeah, because that Microlite, I mean, my one, if Jack, when you showed us up at the factory, up the office, if you'd have done that with mine Microlite, that'd have been 10 bits.
Yeah, exploded. Yeah,
it would have exploded.
Yeah.
But the power of that.
Yeah,
amazed me for a Microlite.
But what it doesn't do is lose that sensitivity of a Microlite. And that power only comes in when you need it. I did some feedback for the sales guys the other week, and the tip sections of the Microlite, Titan, and the Avenger. Considering how different the rod is, the tip section weighs 1 gram difference. So the Microlite weighs 8 grams on the tip section.
Yeah.
The Titan is 9 and the Avenger's 10. So what that means is, you know, you can use the Avenger happily. If you're not, the big fish aren't showing, you're catching small stuff, you're still having a real fun day because you've got that sensitivity.
Nice and soft still.
But the power does come in. The Titan is about 15 to 20% more than the Microlite down the bottom. And the Avenger's about 15 to 20% more than the Titan. So, but the Microlite, I mean, I've had chub to £6 on the Microlite.
I've seen some photos of.
Great fun. It was great fun.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to go out and target chub in a snaggy swim, then of course you're going to pick the Avenger. If you're not sure, then the Titan's the one.
Yeah, that's most definitely. But for that sort of fishing I do on the days fishing and things like that, that Microlite it now gives me the confidence that if I hook one of those chub that are up there, that it's not game over as soon as they're hooked. That's coming out, isn't it?
Exactly. You've got the security of it can land much bigger fish than what you imagine on very light bottoms as well.
I was going to say,
Very
that's
light
the
bottoms,
thing. You can fool them with them light hook lengths, can't you?
Yeah.
But they are.
Well, I've had one guy using this since about May last year, and he's just used it for everything, and he won't put it down. He loves it, absolutely loves it. And he's had barbel to 12 pounds. He's had carp to mid doubles, and no end of silvers and roaches. It's his go-to rod. He says he's never bumped a fish.
No.
So yeah, it's good feedback.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people will use them who've still got Normarks because, like, they're worried about if you for instance, if you go out with a Normark Microlite 12 foot and you break it, that's a £350 mistake.
Yeah, correct.
Right, that is it, because you're not going to replace that section.
No.
So a lot of people will put them away as their investments or whatever, or their memories, like you say, because that is what it is, isn't it? You know, so people that use Normarks have used Normarks over the year. They're passionate about it.
A few people have asked me, and I say a few, I mean quite a lot.
Yeah,
have asked me about with the tip section.
I knew you was going to say that. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No, you can't have.
We never. I mean, that would be daft because.
But it would anyway.
Because the rods are slimmer, and they've all been made with brand new mandrills from scratch.
Yeah.
But they've got the characteristics of a Normark rod.
Yeah.
And that's all we ever tried to do. So.
Yeah. That's nice.
You asked me, I think, a question. I probably didn't answer it, but you asked me about do people, how will they choose or whatever? And someone, a shop asked me who knew one of the guys who was on the forum, who ironically was one of the guys I invited in to see the rods about a year ago to see where we're doing and let them in on the secret, because I can't believe I've kept it secret for so long.
I couldn't either.
But that's because it's such a small, tight-knit group, and one of the guys that came in, well, this shop had asked this guy who knows him very well. He says, "Nick, I trust your opinion. What would you choose if you had to choose one or the other? What would you choose?" And he says, "It's like choosing between my son and daughter. It's impossible." So he says, and he knew straight away then that these rods are good without seeing them, and he was convinced. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you which is your favourite then.
No, well, I'll happily say, it's the Avenger.
It is the Avenger,
But
the bigger fish.
I love them all, and to be honest, they all never cease to amaze me when I use them. To be fair, and like I say, standing in the river with them, with the sun shining, I am quite proud of what we've done. Yeah, you should be proud. You should be proud. You're passionate, and that's come through in the rods. Definitely passion for it. It's not just it's just. When things are made for the sake of being made, that doesn't come across. This definitely comes across. These are special. Yeah. Let's have it right. These are special. There's a reason for them to exist. There's a need for them. People are getting less and less tips. My rod was ready to probably break every season. My Avenger. So there's a reason for them to exist. There's a good story. John's been involved, which is nice, which is great for him, and I'm great we're bringing them to market so we can see them come back. Yeah. And I'm pleased that, and so a lot of people, a lot of shops especially, have said you're selling them too cheap, and I was surprised. Yeah, because you got to think I probably paid that. Correct, about the same price. What? When were 92? Yeah, between 90 and 95. Yeah, they were about 300 quid. Yeah. So we are more or less the same price. So obviously things have moved on. Efficiencies have obviously improved, so we can make those. The factory we're using is our factory; it's not a third-party factory, so that makes a big difference. And, how we can work with the factory. Yeah. Let's stress this fact that these are not Chinese blanks that have had Normark put on it. Correct. This is not what people have originally were saying on the forums, weren't they? These are going to be. Let's stress this is not what it is. Of course, they're made in China, but it's a Japanese carbon made in a factory that we own as part of our group, and we can manage and religiously. I mean, I've been over to the factory, and it is incredible in terms of the the kit that they've got and the dedication and the passion they've got, but. These are actually made, I don't know if I mentioned, in a smaller part of the factory, which is dedicated to the Japanese market. Yeah. And they make real high-end spinning stuff. And to go into this part of the factory, it's temperature controlled, dust controlled environment. You walk through, you've got to take your shoes off. It's spotless, absolutely spotless. And the attention to detail is just amazing for a factory. You can't believe, it's proper space age stuff. And each is tested, you said. Every rod gets, every blank that gets made goes through a section of the factory that gets tested. So every blank from the production run gets tested. So that's before, you know, the guides are on it, and then it gets done again with guides on it, etc., etc. So very stringent quality control process, and you know, we insisted on that anyway, but most of it already exists. So and you can see from the finish, can't you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
but it is nice to sort of point these things out, because I mean, I'm on them forums the same as you are, and some of the rubbish that's been said is, you know, but it's nice to actually be able to see them and to put all that to bed as well.
That's one of the reasons why we kept it secret for such a long time, because we was always going to get that, because the clientele that wants these rods is demanding, and we didn't want to let the cat out of the bag too early, because you know, it'd be very easy to get disheartened and say, you know, well, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So you know, we got to the stage where we knew we were close and had something, and then I invited some of the forum members in and let them in on the secret. And you know, there was a few people that was like, oh, they're made in China. And guess what? Once everyone has seen it at the Big One show, no one even challenged it. They could have been made on Timbuktu land on the moon. no one would have cared. So
no, definitely not. No. So prices, I mean, fantastic prices.
Yeah, so we
quality, aren't they?
And one of the reasons I kept the price like I have is because you know, Dredden do a very good rod that they sell in that, and it's the best-selling rod in the market. So we knew we couldn't be miles away from them on a price point. We was always going to be more expensive for whatever reasons. But we was always going to be more expensive. But I wanted to make the rods accessible as well. So when I was a teenager in the 90s, I couldn't afford a brand new Normark rod. I wanted one that I couldn't afford one. It had to be a second-hand one. So you know, I wanted to keep them in a price point where we could sell some volume to people and make them accessible. So that's why they are like they are. Microlite 279, the 13 footers Titan and Avenger 289, and the 12 to 14s are 309. So I think that's absolutely bargain.
They are for what they are. But if you to see these rods, they really are. They are sheer quality.
And the package you get for that as well. This explains it comes with 2 rod bags. So it comes with a classic velour rod bag. I'll pick that one up because it's closest. So it comes with a classic 3-section velour rod bag. And notice, John, it's not short on the inside like your bags were, so it won't break the tips. Yeah, that's for the people who want to pack it away and really look after it, which is not me, unfortunately. And then it comes with a sort of vinyl sort of sleeve, so whereby you can strap your rod together, put it through the Velcro strap. Let's open that up. So not to poke the camera person. And yeah, for the lazy guy like me who wants to keep their rod set up, so the things just caught in there, yeah. So banded together with a sort of Normark neoprene rod band and tip protector, and yeah, you can just tuck it away in there.
That's where that comes into.
Yeah, that's right.
As well, doesn't
hook
it?
will be on there.
Hook
Your float
there.
will be up here somewhere as opposed to up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can keep your rod nicely protected. Don't worry about your reel.
Yeah.
But your rod's nicely protected in the bag. So just another touch for someone who might want a sleeve like that to take the rod to the bank. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's well thought out again, isn't it?
One other thing to mention is there's some serial numbered rods as well. So the first 100 rods of each rod will have a serial number, which will be under the butt section there, and they'll come in a presentation box with a certificate signed by myself and John for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Just giving them that certificate of authenticity, one of the first 2025 Normark rods off the production.
Fantastic. So
yeah.
that'd be right.
So you just need to get some in. We just need to get them now and get fishing.
We do. Yeah. Well, we've got 6 weeks to the season.
Yeah.
So they reckon they'll be out.
The rods will probably be 8 weeks, so we're a little bit later than what we wanted to be, but they're on the way and they're coming. We've waited 30 years, so we can wait another 2 months.
Yeah. I think people like me, you should tell me a bit later, because I'm a little bit excitable about this sort of things.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one. My inbox has been quite busy.
Yeah,
so,
I bet they have, mate. I bet they're absolute quality. I'm really impressed with them. I really am. You should be very proud, mate, of what you've achieved. Yeah. It's nice to see the Normark range back out again, and hopefully in store soon. So, you got any questions about them at all, if you'd just like to give us a call, if we can't answer your questions, I'll certainly ask Daryl and get back to anybody on it. But
or post them in the feed, and I can look, and I'm happy to answer as well.
They've been on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Can I take them now?